Here is a toss going the other way, away from Adams. A toss to McCaffrey, a cutback run, 30, breaks 340. McCaffrey midfield. McCaffrey 40, 30, 20. Devin Weatherspoon, he cuts inside on him and toasted it all the way down to the 3-yard line on the first play of the game. CMC Dynamite!
That's what the first play of the game sounded like for the 49ers. Christian McCaffrey getting all the way down into the red zone, near the goal line, and then getting chased down there, getting tripped up before J.P. Mason punches it in for the Niners' first touchdown of the day. Niners win this one over their rival, Seattle Seahawks, 28-16, 5-0 now, including postseason play. Since Russell Wilson left Seattle, Adam Copeland, Super Bowl champ, Dennis Brown, John Lund with you here, still live from Levi Stadium following this one. Niners going to lock up a playoff berth here, and now all eyes turn to Sunday Night Football. We're all going to have to sort of root for the Dallas Cowboys here and hope that that Philadelphia falls short in this one.
Eagles lose.
Yeah, I mean,
can you root for Dallas?
No. I know
Dallas?
it's super important, but I can't say let's go Dallas.
Yeah, let's hope the Eagles lose.
Yeah, there we go. You hope the Eagles lose. Yeah, that's a good way of looking at it. I like that. I'm not
because I said that this week. I go, well, we're gonna have to root for the Cowboys, and some 49ers fan angrily and with a lot of profanity said, "How about the Eagles lose, not the Cowboys win?" And I went, okay. You've swayed me.
That's like when your little brother beats
profanity.
you. Your little brother beats you, so you didn't beat me, I lost.
Yeah, exactly. There's a big difference.
Well, Niners won this one. Did it feel like it was a tougher game than the score finally ended up? I mean, Drew Lock, if I'm going to be honest with you, Drew Lock played a little bit better than I was thinking he was going to play. I thought he was sharp.
Backup quarterbacks, they're dangerous, right? Because they really have nothing to lose.
Veteran backups especially.
Yeah, and, Drew came out. He came out throwing the ball. I mean, first series, he was throwing the ball down the field. Should have been an interception early in the football game, but you let the team like the Seahawks stick around. I think it was a battle. It felt like a rivalry game. I mean, he got chippy there at the end of the football game. DK, I mean, he's a beast, and he tries to take over the football game. So, it's tough to watch as a fan because you think after that first play, we just heard Papa call it, you think it's going to be a blowout, right? But then it's a battle. I mean, they went back and forth, and, there's some big plays. The 49ers had a lot of explosive plays. But to me, it felt like it was a battle. It felt like a divisional football game, and I enjoyed doing that. I enjoyed watching it. And enjoyed watching, the 49ers coming out, sweeping them again for the second year in a row. But it really felt like a battle. It was a good football game to watch.
Yeah, the score wasn't indicative, and, they weren't really consistent on offense. But as Pop called there, the 72-yarder was the first play of the game. And then explosive plays, 12 for 407. Debo, 54. Aiyuk, 45. Kittle, 44 touchdown. They even had an illegal 30-yard fake punt by Wisnowski called back. Debo 30, Aiyuk 30, Kittle 27, Aiyuk 25, Debo 25, CMC 23 run, 20 run, and a 12 run. So 12 for 407. I mean, that's just honestly, it's unheard of. And Copes, you said this last week. They had 213 yards after the catch. These were air yards. These were throws by Purdy down the field. I was really impressed. The 54-yarder to Debo beat Jamal Adams. Kittle was a little bit of catch and run, but the majority of these, he made a great scramble to his left and hit Aiyuk for 45 yards. Debo was on it. Both receivers.
44, 45, 54 are the three longs. 120, 149, 126, and then 76 are the three top receivers, and that's Samuel, Aiyuk, and then Kittle. They all had huge days.
149 for Debo, 126 for Aiyuk. They just, it was really after the first quarter. He went 2 of 3 for 33 yards, and he actually had a 25-yarder to Aiyuk in that quarter. And then after that, he threw for 335 yards in the final 3 quarters with 2 touchdowns. And so, again, what we talked about in the pregame show, I know he led Aiyuk too much on interception. I got tipped up in the air, and Julian Love intercepted it. So he did throw an interception. But, again, he gets the touchdowns. He gets 368 total passing yards. 335 in the final 3 quarters. Brock Purdy was great, but it was the explosive plays. Whether that's, I think some of them were designed, but others were him just getting out of the pocket, guys going down the field, them being on the same page, and kind of some playground football as well.
And making good decisions, right? There's a couple of times there's just checkdowns that went for explosive plays. And he's good at that. He knows he knows the defense. He knows where his checkdowns are. He sees the entire football field, and, everyone talks about his arm strength, and he can't scramble, and he's not tall enough. But, each game, he seems to do the exact things that people say he cannot do.
Well, you just mentioned it. In the first quarter for Brock Purdy, his numbers, his passing numbers as follows: 2 for 4, 33 yards, took a sack, didn't throw a touchdown or a pick. But to wrap up the game, the final 3 quarters, 335 passing yards, throws the 3 touchdowns. They look fantastic as the 49ers, the 2 touchdowns, the interception, as he goes for 19 to 27, 368. Looks sharp again. Again, Christian McCaffrey, 16 for 145, 9.1 a carry on the ground in a dominant performance. But we'll make the 335 in the finish strong performance by Brock Purdy our stat of the game, sponsored by Stevens Creek Toyota. Shop a huge selection of over 500 vehicles. Stevens Creek Toyota, the obvious choice. In terms of the defense, we'll get into more of what they did today. Dennis, we'll go to you, our resident defensive world champion. What did you think of the way the D-line played? This was a Nick Bosa game, man.
Yeah, it was Nick Bosa. I think it was everybody. I mean, there was pressure up the middle by Kinlaw. I mean, you had Chase Young on the outside getting a lot of pressure. You had Givens, or you had the Gravedigger getting some pressure. So, but in the secondary, Charvarius goes down and, guys step up. They play where, how about Ambry Thomas? He gets better every football game. So, and I think, in the secondary, there's 3 interceptions they probably should have had that they didn't get. But this secondary, I think, showed a lot. You had DK Metcalf that was trying to take over the football game. You kind of get after him a little bit. I didn't hear much about Lockett, but, tackling. You look at tackling. Tackling was a big deal in this football game. That's something you got to work on. It should come natural, but you got to make those tackles sometimes.
Yeah, and the only real negative that came out of the game, you get the win and you're feeling great. Now you look ahead. Hopefully Philadelphia can lose to the Cowboys and you'd be the number 1 seed. Detroit lost today, which was huge. The Rams lost today, which is huge. But the injuries.
Charvarius Ward.
So Armstead's already out. Charvarius Ward early out of the game in the first quarter with a groin. Hargrave leaves with a hamstring. Burks with a knee and Greenlaw with a hip. And all those guys are on the defensive side. So in the pregame, we said, this is what the 49ers do. They get healthy at this time of year and they start rolling people. Kyle did mention them after the game, but the reason why there weren't follow-up questions on it is Kyle just gets the list. They haven't MRI'd. They haven't really given him any information, or if they have given him information, he wants to hold on to it. They want to look at guys overnight, see how they're feeling in the morning, those kind of things. But, you got to kind of hold your breath just a little bit because we saw what Dre Greenlaw meant when he missed the Cleveland game. We saw, look, this is a big game. The next 2 is, Arizona's not great. I understand that, but they could pull off upsets. They've given the 49ers trouble in the past. And then you got that Ravens game sitting right there, and that's the one that kind of finishes off this whole bird stretch. Right. As you beat Seattle twice, the Eagles hope to beat the Arizona Cardinals and the Baltimore Ravens. But you got to continue this whole thing. You got to hope the Eagles lose one of the next 2 because, again, 2 against the Giants, 1 against Arizona after the Seattle game next week. But you got to be healthy. That's the key to this whole thing, as well as they're playing. That's a lot of defensive guys that are banged up, and we're kind of holding our breath to see what happens with everybody.
28-16, the final. Niners over the Seattle Seahawks. They have not beaten the Niners since Russell Wilson left for Denver to join the Denver Broncos. We'll get you updated, by the way, on what's happening across the league, and we got one more game to come tonight, and it's a game that matters tremendously to the hopes of the number 1 seed of the 49ers, who pick up their 10th win today, 28-16 over their division rival Seahawks, yet to lose a game still at this point in the NFC West. Adam Copeland, Super Bowl champion, Dennis Brown, John Lem with you from Levi Stadium. When we come on back, we'll get a little deeper into this one. We will hear from the head coach of the 49ers at some point, talk a little bit more about some of the big performances in this one as the Niners get ready to head out to Arizona to take on Kyler Murray, who's coming off a bye week. A week 14 bye week, dude. Kyler's like, yeah, ready to heat things up here at the back half of the season. Again, Adam Copeland, Dennis Brown, John Lund, Niners 28-16 over Seattle. Only here on the Sports Leader.
I wouldn't say I'm faster. It's just like when I'm in the open field, I think I just got another gear that people haven't seen. So they're like, yo, Debo, I ain't know you was that fast, but really can move.
As Debo Samuel, they're talking about his speed, which has been insane on display. It's incredible to me when somebody stands out among a group of stars like this, and somebody who, we didn't know what Debo's full capabilities or potential, I don't think, were. I mean, Christian McCaffrey shows up, and we're enamored with him. It's a different skill set, but still does some of the same things. Debo Samuel, when he was out of this offense, Christian McCaffrey didn't perform as well. And now that he's back, things have opened up tremendously. I mean, McCaffrey in the day, 16 for 145. Debo Samuel, 7 catches on 9 targets, 149 yards and a receiving touchdown. And on the ground, does have a carry for a yard and a touchdown at one point. Had broken a little bit longer of a touchdown run, but or a catch, I should say, on the air yards you were just talking about, John. But came up short there. Adam Copeland, Super Bowl champ, Dennis Brown, John Lund hanging out with you here. Following a Niner 28-16 win over the Seahawks. Let's get you the difference maker of the game. Got a feeling we know who it's going to be. Sponsored by Benjamin Moore Paints. Experience the Benjamin Moore retail difference at our independently owned authorized retailers today or at benjaminmoore.com. Dennis, for you, who's the difference maker in this one?
Well, I mean, it's got to be Debo. I mean, the thing about Debo is there's 2 players on this team that I think if they touch the ball, they could take it. And we always talk about you can take it to the house right away. It's Debo and Christian McCaffrey, right? I mean, they touch the ball just the way they run, their vision. Debo runs like a Mack truck. He's not the biggest dude in the world, but, I mean, he runs. I mean, he runs past people. And they were just talking about his speed. I mean, he runs past defenders, and it looks crazy on TV, but he's that one guy. He gets the ball on a quick little in cut or something like that. He can take it to the house every time he touches the ball.
Over his last 3 now, 18 catches, 344, and 3 touchdowns, and 8 rushes, 38 yards, 3 touchdowns. So the last 3 games, 6 touchdowns, 344 through the air. He and Aiyuk, I don't know that this is their most yardage combined, 149 for Debo and 126 for Aiyuk. But, we've been talking about the weapons, and over this winning streak now, I just don't know how you defend them because CMC starts with a 72, then you get Debo's 54, and then Kittle gets a 44. I mean, they are really in sync, and I understand what people are saying when they're like, Purdy has all these weapons, but he's making it happen. And they're just, we talked about the explosive plays. Again, if you're just joining us, 12 explosive plays today for 407 yards, and they were all types, as you were just talking about. Some of them were designed, some were Purdy getting out of the pocket and seeing a guy. They are really on the same page. And defensively, I don't know what you do because CMC was running the ball great. He had explosive runs of 72, 23, 20, and 12 today through the air, on the ground. The offensive line performed well, great blocks. And when you're getting these plays down the field, the receivers and George Kittle and the tight ends are all blocking well. They're just in a really good sync. Now, they weren't as in sync as far as, your 14-play, 75-yard drive. But when you're making big plays like that and it's quick, that'll work.
Yeah.
That works.
Here's what I think we're seeing now, too, from the 49ers is they've hit stride now to where – remember when Kevin Durant joined the Warriors and we thought, okay, nobody's going to get an individual award now. And there was questions about, will Klay Thompson get his shots? Who's going to lose their opportunities in the offense? Klay was like, I'm going to get my shots up. They all performed. They didn't all put up gaudy, huge numbers, but they all performed. In football, the clock can still sort of work in your favor in terms of putting up points. You don't want to leave that much time on the clock and score fast every time down. And Kyle has talked about that as an offensive play caller versus a head coach, what you have to manage as a coach. But what we've seen for the last 2 games is, for the first time under Kyle Shanahan, a quarterback, 2 wide receivers, a tight end, and a running back, not all just perform, all look like they were the best at their positions across the board in the NFL. There is not a team across the board in either league that when this team has 3 of the 4, let alone 4 of the 4, and I'm not even counting Brock Purdy. He's the guy delivering the mail. People are still, they want to discredit what he's done. The guys who are catching the touchdown passes from this guy, and week after week after week, he's discrediting any knock against him. The people who are discrediting him are the guys who credit him are the same guys that they're using to discredit his ability. Christian McCaffrey, George Kittle, Debo Samuel, Aiyuk, they're all saying this guy is incredible with what he's been able to do. If it was so easy to do this, why wasn't Jimmy Garoppolo doing it? He had weapons when he was here. He didn't have McCaffrey. He had Raheem Mostert. Raheem Mostert's putting up huge numbers down in Miami when he's healthy. He's the number 2 running back in the NFL in terms of touchdowns scored. So we've seen this offense to that running back. We saw Mostert go for 4 touchdowns in a championship game where where Jimmy Garoppolo threw the ball 8 times. Brock Purdy today started slow, and they don't go away from him. They lean into what he's able to do because He's one of the premier, if not the best quarterback in football today. He is playing the best football of the season of any quarterback in the NFL in 2023, bar none. And I don't give a damn about the weapons around him. No receivers ever won the MVP, right?
Right.
I mean, that's what it comes down to, because somebody's got to deliver the mail.
And you deliver the mail, that's it, right? And he delivers it to everybody. It's not like he has one. It's not like it's his tight end or it's a Debo or it's a Brandon Aiyuk. It's to everybody. And in the last 3 games, he's given the ball. I mean, everybody has scored on the offense, it feels like. Everyone has explosive plays. So he delivers the mail. And he's got a good vision of the field, and he gets the ball to everybody. I think that's the biggest thing. I mean, he sees everybody. He throws guys open. He sees he can lob the ball. He puts a little mustard under it. But he delivers it to everybody. He's not selfish at all. And he gets it to everybody.
I think the thing that's tough, too, is, and you know this from a defensive perspective, is that you go into a game and you might have 1 or 2 matchup advantages that you look at and you say, we can get them here, we can get them there. I mean, clearly, as you looked at it today, they thought they could run it, especially left, which they did very effectively. They knew that they could go after Jamal Adams. They felt like they had advantages all over the field. And when you have McCaffrey, that's going to be an advantage, whether it's in the slot or running the ball. When you have Debo, it's going to be an advantage because he can take any short pass and break it into a long one. He beat Jamal Adams on the long for 54. Kittle, they don't have the type of players that can hang with Kittle on the 44-yarder. So when Brock Purdy goes back to throw, maybe 1 or 2, you might, as a quarterback, look at 1 or 2 guys where you think, hey, they're going to win just about every matchup. He's got like 4 or 5 guys that can win every matchup. And we're not even talking about Jawan Jennings, who, he's not fast, but he's going to be bigger. And so if you put it in a certain catch radius for him against a defender, you got a heck of a lot of confidence that he's going to come down with it. Same thing with Brandon Aiyuk. If it's a ball that's even close, he's going to come down with it. And the interception he had today was just a ball that was too far.
Yeah.
I mean, Aiyuk was actually open on the play, and he just threw it too far out in front of Brandon Aiyuk. He got tipped up in the air, and Love intercepted it. You're going to have bad throws. Those things are going to happen. But the advantage is where everybody's talking about how great they are. Yeah, they're great. Their matchup advantage is that when he looks through his progressions, knows that he's going to find at least one if he just keeps moving through.
Adam Copeland, Dennis Brown, John Lund with you from Levi Stadium. Niners win 28-16 over Seattle. They moved to 10-3. Seattle falls to 6-7, but so did the Rams after a walk-off punt return. We'll get you updated on some stuff from around the league as we are getting ready for kickoff on Sunday Night Football, by the way. The Eagles and the Cowboys. What's going on with the Niners and the number 1 seed? If the Eagles lose, Niners will hold the number 1 seed after tonight's Sunday night game. If the Eagles tie or win, they will still be the leader. Correct, John? If they tie?
Yep. Yeah,
a tie is good for them too. So
yes.
You need an outright loss. So you say you're not rooting for the Cowboys? Yeah. Okay.
I just want the Eagles to lose.
Wait till Dak throws a pick and then tell me who you're rooting for. Let me see your reaction when Dak throws a pick.
How crummy is that that you're looking at the game and usually if Dak does something stupid or throws a pick, he's having a good year.
Yeah.
But you're like, yeah, cool. Now tonight it's going to be like, what are you doing?
Come on, Dak.
For the people who think it's all about Brock Purdy's yak yards or the yak yards that Brock Purdy's benefiting from for the superstars on his team and in his offense, we've got a stat for you that might debunk that a bit on the other side. A career high in this category for Brock Purdy coming up next, only here on the Sports Leader.
I mean, you never know till it does. You know, you just you kind of just read it one gap at a time and trust the guys in front of you. And that was, I mean, amazing blocking. Got to score there. You know, but that was, great job by those guys up front all day. BA blocking downfield, 75 yards down the field again, which is just becoming routine for him. So I appreciated that. But that was a great job by all those guys up front.
Is that Brock Purdy? Is that who that was? Was Christian McCaffrey there?
No,
was Christian
yeah.
McCaffrey on the 72. The reason I asked that is because Brock Purdy was like right behind McCaffrey when he finally got tackled.
Was he pissed, though? Did anybody ask? Like, they took him out at the 3. Like, I can't run 72 yards in the first play of the game, stay in and get paid her.
I'm just saying.
You got to take me out?
I'd like him to. I'd like him to come back in and get that touchdown.
Did he get an end zone today, McCaffrey?
I don't think so.
What's the matter with him?
Get pulled every time.
What's the matter?
I mean, even with
him?
Debo got to the 1 yard line, and then on the pass, on the throwback in the middle of the field, which I'm sure Kyle didn't like, but he got to the 1 yard line. What'd they do? They gave it to Debo the next play, and he got the touchdown. Like, guy gets you to the 1. Like, let's go.
It was a little different. He did break one. He did break 173 or something. I'm with you, but he did break one from the 25 versus the over the top catch.
His first play of the game.
It is. I'm with
highly conditioned athlete. You got to take me out after 72? I can't get the touchdown?
Get a breath.
I'm with you. I 100% agree.
What, is Jerry Rice on the sideline? He gets my touchdown record, Kyle. We're gonna
have problems.
We got problems.
No, he did get a ton of yards though today. Did Christian McCaffrey? We'll get to those totals here in just a minute. After the 73-yard run or 72-yard run to open the game,
yeah.
And then JP Mason I'll take that, thank you. Nice little Jerome Bettis like stealing of the touchdown at the goal line. Let's get you protecting the quarterback, though. Sponsored by the Contra Costa County Office of the Sheriff. Protect your community and apply for a new career in law enforcement at cocosheriff.org today. And by Bay Alarm. Worry less about your people and your property with Bay Alarm. BayAlarm.com. For the sack numbers today, 49ers get 4 sacks. It's 3 sacks for Seattle. Brock Purdy does throw a pick, but I don't think the pressure had much to do with that. Your take on the protection of Brock today? I thought he hung in there pretty well, and I thought Drew Lock did a really nice job of evading some pressure, at least in the first half. Second half, it seemed like things got a little rough for the O-line of Seattle.
Yeah, and, I think this defensive line, they showed up in the second half. They got some pressure. Like I said, I saw Kinlaw in there on a sack. Nick Bosa did Nick Bosa. As far as the offense goes, like Brock Purdy sits in the pocket. A sack is a sack. Sometimes a lot of it's coverage, but I don't think he held the ball too long. But I think the offensive line did that. Left side of the offensive line, I was just thinking about it. I mean, McCaffrey to the left side of that offensive line is it's 10 yards every pop. They do well on that side. I think the offensive line played well. You come out with the win, but I think this defensive line, they're starting to show up. I mean, I was looking for them in the first half, didn't see much pass rush, but then it kind of came strong in the second half.
Yeah, the way that I see it is that when they're swarming constantly, and that's what you're seeing really quarterbacks now. It's not just one guy getting in there and he makes a move on somebody, spin move, bull rush, whatever the case is, and he's there. It's everybody just collapsing. And that's when because the quarterback's looking around like, the hell am I supposed to do? Everything's collapsing like an earthquake around him.
You mean for the quarterback, the pocket just collapsing.
Everybody.
Right.
It's just everybody is crushing their man.
And again, there's somebody else in there every week. Nick Bosa's not racking up the sack totals every week. He had, 1.5 today? I think he had a sack and a half today. Cleve Furl got in there, but last week it was 2 for Javon Kinlaw. It was 1 for Kalea Davis or something like that. Like they had all sorts of different guys, and it seems like each and every week.
Furl had one today.
Furl had one. What were the? So they had 4 total today. They had 3 last week. They had 6 the week before. I mean, they had 15 in 3 games, and now they've had 7 in the last 2. So we're talking 22 sacks in the last 5 games out of the bye week. That's incredible. I mean, they're the best pass rushing D, it seems like, in the NFL now, based on the body of work. And this is what we saw in 2019. It was like 7 or 8 guys deep. At the start of this year, I didn't see a path to getting to this spot. Did you? Where we were looking at the D linemen, especially knowing that Drake Jackson isn't a part of this rotation, really.
Right.
Where he's not a part of it and they have this much depth, I could not have foreseen it at this point.
Yeah, and we've been talking about who's going to be the other pass rusher. I think a lot of guys, Randy Gregory showed up today. He had a nice little sack there in the fourth quarter.
Here in the preseason, right.
And Kinlaw gets a half a sack today. So, that's back-to-back weeks that, he showed up in the sack category on the chart. So, he's getting better. I mean, he comes off the bench. He's got fresh legs, and he's got that push up to him. Eric Armstead wasn't there. I think this is a game Armstead could have really had a big game, but Kinlaw comes in there and, he plays well.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I like to give Kinlaw some credit because, this dude has had a lot of knee injuries. They didn't pick up his fifth-year option. He could have pouted. A lot of guys would have. They bring in Hargrave. And a lot of it is just, we don't know what he can do because he's been injured so much. Cowboys, 6-0, 10-minute mark of the first quarter. Dak to
We're not rooting.
CeeDee Lamb.
We're not rooting.
I am. Let's go, boys.
I know why you are. 6-0, waiting for the extra point, 10 minutes. They went right down the field, knife through butter was that one. So we got a flag on the play. Let's see, maybe we are celebrating too early. It's probably going to be on CD because he kind of, touchdown, unsportsmanlike, because this is like Little League. When you score a touchdown, you got to be nice to the opponent. He kind of just gave it up to the Eagles a little bit.
He wasn't nice to the opponent.
Well, he kind of sauntered in. He slowed down into the end zone. You'll see at the end here. And he does that thing because remember a few weeks ago Josh Allen did that and he kind of looked back at the defender. That's what he does here. So they'll get penalized on the kickoff, but they're still gonna get the touchdown. Dak goes.
We'll get you over to that game, by the way, when we wrap things up here.
So he kind of slows down at the end, and then he looks back at the Eagles like, "Come on, it's Eagles Cowboys. They don't like each other. Like that's a penalty." God,
that's tough. I mean,
he just looked back. He slowed up and he looked back at the defender like, "What?" It's just become ridiculous. But anyway, 7-0 Cowboys. 10 minutes left in the first. Good news. Good news
for the 49ers. If the Cowboys do hold on and win that game, Niners at a 1 seed as we head into to Monday afternoon or into week 15, I would say. All right, let's take a quick break. When we come on back, we'll get a little deeper into this one. We will hear from the head coach of the 49ers, Kyle Shanahan, our guy, John Dickinson. He's going to join us here in studio. He was boots on the ground today here for the 49er victory over the Seahawks, 28-16. Brock Purdy continues to amaze. He does throw a pick in this one, but 2 more touchdowns. He started slow, finished hot, was fantastic over the final 3 quarters of the game. 335 yards passing in the final 3 quarters. Another huge performance for Debo Samuel. He's got 6 touchdowns in his last 3 games. You've got Christian McCaffrey going well over 100 yet again on the ground and breaking a 72-yard run. You've got 140-plus for Brandon Aiyuk, who chimes in with his own great game, and then another big performance for George Kittle. Everybody eats in the Kyle Shanahan offense. 28-16. Niners over Seattle. More to come from Levi Stadium on the Sports Leader.
Now we got the team squaring off, and a flag came in after the play.
Yeah, DK Metcalf going at it with Diamador Lenore, it looked like out there.
Multiple flags here.
Yeah, I don't know what happened, man. I told him he tackles really well, and then for some reason he didn't like that, and, I guess what happened, and it's unfortunate, man. You got to learn to keep his composure, but happy we came out with the dub.
Fred Warner got an interception at the end of the game. The 49ers win at 28-16. We're watching the Cowboys and the Eagles, and after our post-game show, we'll get you to that game for the second half. Cowboys go right down the field, the 10-minute mark from Dak Prescott going left. He hits CeeDee Lamb. They're up 7-0 with 8:41 left in the first quarter, so you're missing nothing there, and we'll keep you updated on anything that's going on. But DK Decaf today, 2 catches, 52 yards, had a 31-yard touchdown.
I caught what you did there.
Then that went.
I heard that.
Kept going. Ambry Thomas couldn't locate the ball. They score a 31-yard touchdown. 9:44 left in the first quarter. Decaf, no more catches the rest of the game. So that's why they got kicked out at the end. He's just frustrated. I mean, he's their best offensive weapon, and usually when he gets the ball early, as he did on that first drive, 2 catches, 52 yards, and the 31-yard touchdown to tie the game at 7. You get the ball to him, he gets rolling. Plus, he's got to be frustrated. Ward, who completely blanketed him the first game in Seattle, Ward's got the groin injury. He's out after that drive, doesn't come back, and so you're going against. And Demo's good, and Ambry's been playing really well, but Ward was the physical guy on him, and he only had a couple more targets and no more catches. And so when Warner got that interception, DK and he got into it. In fact, so much so, and he'll probably get a fine for this. He grabbed, held on to, and pulled on Warner's face mask, and he got ejected from the game.
Yeah, the Fred Warner reaction was pretty professional.
He's laughing.
First, he throws the arms up. When DK runs back up to him and puts both hands on the face mask, he just kind of goes palms up, starts sort of backing the way. He does a little bit of the flop thing, like he knocks the head back like an NBA player would be. Kind of goes NBA flop on him, but the second you start being the aggressor as well, you both could have been tossed from that game. You're both looking at a fine. DK immediately gets fined. And Fred Warner, I thought it could have been just a double penalty on him getting back up and throwing, because DK shoves him back. It might have just been a double penalty, but then he gets back up and grabs his mask. So that was good leadership, I thought, for how Fred Warner reacted to that one. Couple of injury things we should talk about here. You mentioned the injury to Charvarius Ward early on. Secondary's a little banged up now. They made a signing. It was Lucas who came in, right, this week at DB. Mm-hmm. And then they also, you mentioned this a little bit earlier, Jason Verrett.
Yeah, that was an interesting one because they brought in Logan Ryan because he can play safety. He can play slot.
Lucas, Logan Ryan. I don't know why I said
Logan Ryan. He can play slot. He can play safety. He can play corner. He can even play special teams. He's a veteran. If you recognize that name, he played for the Patriots for years. Won a Super Bowl. In fact, he got Tom Brady's last interception as a Patriot in that playoff game for Tennessee. So he's well traveled, but he's a nice veteran to have on this team. So he's around. Eric Harris is around. But Jason Verrett was in a suite. Everybody was, tweeting out on social media saying, "Hey, Jason Verrett's up in a suite." And then, I don't know how significant these injuries are, and we'll find out tomorrow when he meets up with the media and does his teleconference at about 3:00. But they're banged up in the secondary a little bit. So Jason Verrett, and everybody knows his injury history. He's played well when he's played for the 49ers, but then he had his last injury, which of course against Detroit early a couple of years ago. Then he re-aggravated it, and he's had to rehab, and he was with the Texans and DeMeco Ryans earlier this year. And then he was, a few weeks ago, he actually was working out for the 49ers on the side of one of their practices. They didn't end up eventually signing him, but he is from the area. He has hung out, and so after the game, it was announced that he's joined their practice squad. So we'll see what he has left after all these injuries.
How about that, man?
So he has signed.
He has signed. He's from the practice squad.
Yeah.
I mean, he was a nice little player.
Man.
I mean, when he's healthy.
When he's healthy.
I remember when he was with San Diego. He was
really good.
He was really good.
Former first-round pick, TCU. Yeah. But, again, he's a Bay Area guy. And the 49ers really like him. And like you said, he's tough, smart. But, man, between Achilles and knee injuries, man, he's just had some horrible luck with the injuries. But, look, if he can run, that's the thing. Is I remember when they took a look at him, I think beginning of the season, he still couldn't run. And so if he can come back and be fairly healthy, he can be a guy. And remember, he can play outside, he can play inside. It just depends on where he is health-wise. But they must see enough in him that he might be able to contribute at some point down the stretch here.
Yeah, and he had a tough time getting on the field for the Niners. Remember that Steeler play came on? They had one tough play at a DPI or something, that second year or first year. I think it was the first year here. Then he gets down with an injury, comes back and ended up having like a Pro Bowl caliber year, replacing Richard Sherman when Sherman left after the stint he had in 2019. Adam Copeland, Super Bowl champ, Dennis Brown, John Lund hanging with you here, live from Levi Stadium, where the Niners have beaten the Seattle Seahawks by a score of 28-16. A real beatdown here, too, in terms of the offensive outbursts and performances. How many explosives was it, John? You had that earlier for us.
12 explosives today for 407 yards. And I don't know if I can do them off the top of my head, but the 72 obviously started at 72 McCaffrey, 54 for Debo Samuel in that one, a 45 to Aiyuk, a 44 to Kittle for a touchdown. They had a couple of 30s, a 27 again to Kittle, a couple of 25s to both Aiyuk and Kittle. And then McCaffrey, in addition to the 72-yard run, had a 23, a 20, and a 12-yard run. So an explosive is a 10-plus on a run and a 20-plus on a pass. So for them to get 12 for 407, that was obviously the majority. And as you pointed out, Brock Purdy sets a personal record at 10.5. That's not yards per attempt. That's air yards per attempt. So again, to the dink and dunk crowd, sorry. Those were not just little dump-offs and runs after the catch. Those were air yards down the field.
Yeah, like actual big-time plays. I mean, over the top, it seemed like guys were getting there and like waiting for the defense to catch up on them once they caught the ball and got out and running. When we come on back, we will hear from Brandon Aiyuk. A big performance for Brandon Aiyuk today. 6 catches for 126 yards. Was fantastic today, along with Brock Purdy. That may be his number one receiver there. 368, 2 touchdowns and a pick for Brock, and a huge day as well for Debo Samuel, who continues to impress. When we come on back, we'll hear from Brandon Aiyuk, and then our guy John Dickinson, super reporter, boots on the ground here for the Niners and the Seahawks. He's going to join us at about 6 o'clock at the top of the hour. Adam Copeland, Dennis Brown, John Lunt. Niners over the Seattle Seahawks by a score of 28-16 only here on the Sports Leader.
Purdy, 7-step drop from under center. Pumps to throw, nothing there. Now going to throw it deep downfield for Aiyuk. He's got it. A big chunk to the Seattle 30-yard line. Right over the safety, Julian Love.
Huge, like we told you, 12 explosive plays. That's a 20-plus yard pass or a 10-plus run, and the 49ers had 12 of them today for 407 yards en route to the 28-16 win over Seattle. They improved to 10-3 before we get to the player interview with Brandon Aiyuk. The Cowboys lead the Cowboys lead the Eagles. Cowboys lead the Eagles in Dallas 7-zip. The Eagles are driving inside the Cowboys 20-yard line. Jalen Hurts fumble. Dallas recovers. So 7-0 getting to the end of the first quarter, and Dallas just avoided one. And so they're up 7-0 and just recovered an Eagles fumble. The player post-game interview brought to us by our good friends at the Handlery Hotel. Of course, the Handlery Hotel, sponsored by the Handlery Union Square Hotel, San Francisco's oldest family-owned hotel. Here is Brandon Aiyuk, who I don't know if you know this, he's on fire.
5th 49er player to go back-to-back yard seasons as far as receiving. Jerry Rice, Terrell Owens, George Kittle, your teammate at tight end, and Anquan Bolden. We're just singing your praises. How have you become? I think you're getting better and better every year you're in the NFL. I think you'll get better again next year, knowing the way you work. But how have you gotten better every single offseason?
Just trying to go out there and add to my game every offseason. Just getting some experience playing, just getting coached up by the greatest coaches that I could say in this staff that we have. Shout out Hank. Shout out Leonard Hagerson. Shout out Colin. Shout out to everybody up here because they're giving everybody the knowledge to go out there and put a good product on tape if you apply it. So shout out to them.
You know what, B.A., talk about Leonard a little bit. Talk about Coach Hank, and obviously he was a good wide receiver for the Washington team, and you've had different receiver coaches here. Wes did a good job, but I just watch Hank and how he grinds on a daily basis. And during individual, he's coming in the weight room and he's going over his whole script. Just talk about him, of how he's made you guys better as a group.
Hank, you talking about?
Yeah.
He just demands the most every single day, every single week. And we got that. I think everybody in the room has that type of relationship where it's like, all right, we want to go out there and do it for ourselves, but we know the guy that's behind us all is Hank, and we don't want to let him down. So I think just the way that he approaches it, the way that he gets us all ready, he's doing a great job.
Talk about how things have changed, and everybody, I mean, we've talked about it a lot, but since Christian McCaffrey has gotten here, how this offense has just gotten unlocked in both run and the pass. You guys had 12 explosives today, and on those 12 plays, like 454 yards, an ungodly number.
Sheesh.
Yeah, on 12 plays.
Yeah, that's great. I think explosives were the story of the day today. Started off the first play of the game with, I think, how many yards that was.
72
yards.
Yeah.
But yeah, explosives all over the place. McCaffrey, the type of threat that he is, for sure, has opened it up. But even just Purdy, Purdy has this whole thing jumping up because of the way that he plays. He's brought new light to this offense, new light to this building, and those two are a big part of it for sure.
Here's the thing, and talk about this, because there's things to clean up, as you guys know, and there always is when you look at the tape. But the 12 explosives, 4 runs, 147 yards on runs, 8 passes, 287, 434 on the 12 explosive plays, and 527 yards of total offense with a lot to clean up. Talk about that.
Yeah, a lot to clean up. Yeah, I mean, it was like I said, mixed emotions today. Mixed emotions. We got the dub that we needed. It was a lot of good stuff out there. A lot of bad too. I'm not sure about a lot, but some bad. We'll check the tape out. We'll clean it up. I think we got out clean for the most part. Checking on Mooney, praying for him. But looking to regroup this weekend and get back to it as we head to AZ.
Love the mentality of how you guys are blocking, and it's 9 hats, and every guy, and you are the leader of the group along with Juwan, just digging out safeties or blocking corners and finishing guys, which is the beauty of it all. Last thing for me, in Brock, I was talking about reading coverage, he delivers the ball on time. it's just and a couple of times you caught guys squatting and with play action and Jamal on the big one to Debo and then Kittle at the end. When teams drop off in coverage and have a breakdown, Brock rarely misses. Talk about that talent.
Yeah, like I said many times before, being a pass catcher in this offense, you have a chance every single game to go out there and put a product on tape that you want to, because that guy right there, he's dealing the ball all over the field, third level, second level, underneath, getting the ball to the right spots. So him, Kyle, Greasy, all those guys over there, Kubiaks, they're cooking right now.
The Kubiaks are cooking.
Clint. Brandon Aiyuk, thank you so much for your time. Congratulations to you, my friend. You're leading the team now in catches with 56 and over 1,000 yards back-to-back years.
Appreciate it. Thank
Great
you.
game, B.A.
There you go, Brandon Aiyuk. Huge performance today for the 49ers as they are victorious, as I mentioned earlier. 28-16 here from Levi Stadium. Niners are now 10-3 on the year. 6-7 are Seattle. Also, the Rams fall to 6-7 after their walk-off punt loss to the Baltimore Ravens out in Baltimore. Niners are going to see the Rams one more time. They cannot finish worse than 5-1 in the NFC West this season. When we come on back, our guy John Dickinson, who was here on hand for the game, just got out of the locker room, and hearing from head coach Kyle Shanahan, we'll see what he knows about this one. Brock Purdy, 19-27, 368, 2 touchdowns, and an interception. Christian McCaffrey, 16 on the ground for 145. Debo Samuel, 7 catches, 149, and a touchdown. Aiyuk, 6 for 126. Kittle, 3 for 76 and a touchdown. It's unbelievable that everybody's putting up the numbers in the same offense that they are. We'll talk more about that with our guy John Dickinson, who joins us next, only here on the Sports Leader.
Yeah, I definitely expected a dogfight with them. Really well coached team. I kind of see some similarities in their mentality to us, just how they go about their organization. So I knew they were going to come out and fight. And you got to win in different ways in this league, and I think we could win in a lot of different ways. So.
Voice of 49ers defensive end Nick Bosa there, following a Niner 28-16 win over the Seattle Seahawks. Adam Copeland, Super Bowl champion, Dennis Brown, John Lund with you here from Levi Stadium. Yeah, still here. And joined this time by our buddy John Dickinson. Boots on the ground. He was here for the victory today. John, we'll just open this one up, and I'll ask you sort of broadly, what was the most impressive part of this victory for the 49ers, and why was it Debo Samuel?
Well, yeah, exactly. It was the explosive plays to me. I mean, this team just hits you with explosive after explosive. And on an afternoon where they really didn't have the long, extended drives that this team can also be known for, they were still popping off big runs and big completions. And it's just hard for other teams to be able to keep up, especially a team like Seattle playing a backup quarterback. And hats off to Drew Lock. He looked pretty good early on, but they made some adjustments against DK Metcalf, and I thought that changed the game. And you look at, the job Lenore was able to do, and, Ward goes out early, Mooney Ward, and they, looked like it was going to be a big DK Metcalf game, but it really ended up not, and the 49ers made enough big plays to carry it home.
Yeah, and you talk about Chavez going down, and, he locked down DK in the first game and Thanksgiving. He goes out the football game. Guys step up. But now that secondary's kind of beat up. I mean, what do you see? Where do you see the Niners going now? They've got some guys. They just signed Verrett. We're just talking about that. Where does this secondary go now?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be in-house plus Verrett, the addition there, and we'll see. It doesn't sound like the Ward injury is significant, but it's still something that you're going to have to deal with. I mean, at this late in the season, a groin for a defensive back is never a good thing. I mean, that's the kind of thing that you can say it's a couple of weeks, and then you could get out there on the first play, and it's, oh, man, now you're out a couple of more weeks. And with so few games left in the season and then the potential playoff run, it's definitely something that needs to be monitored. And they're going to have to, I think, prevent him from himself a little bit, to be honest, because he was working hard on the sideline to be able to go back into that game. It looked like he was coming back in, but just couldn't get it to a point where he felt comfortable or the training staff felt comfortable.
Yeah, he was on the bike and trying to get it going. By the way, Dallas just hit a 60-yard field goal, penalty-ridden drive after the Jalen Hurts fumble. So 10-0 Dallas in Arlington, Texas, with they're just near the end of the first quarter. So 10-0 Dallas, which obviously if Dallas continues that, the 49ers would be the top seed in the NFC, which is huge. The thing that makes me nervous, too, was all these injuries defensively. You just mentioned it. It doesn't sound like any of them are significant, although anytime I hear about a knee, Burks had a knee. But Burks had a knee. Hargrave, who's been so dominant lately, he has a hamstring. When you're talking about these muscle injuries, like I said, at any time, those can be a major issue because Geno Smith missed the game today with the groin. I mean, those things can be an issue. And so you're looking at Charvarius Ward with a groin situation. There's a knee injury there.
Yeah, Hargrave with the hamstring.
Right. And then late, and I think Greenlaw did come back in the game, but he had a hip. So, I mean, you're looking at 5 really integral defensive players for the 49ers. Now, Arizona should be a little bit easier. You don't want to take anything for granted, but you go to Arizona, then that huge game against the Ravens. And even if the Cowboys continue this and they win, you've got to win out because I look at the Eagles. They're going to Seattle next week. They'll probably win that game. And then it goes Giants, Arizona.
Yeah, their
Giants
last 3 are easy.
So they're not going to – I don't know that they're going to lose again. Maybe they could lose to Seattle. But if they lose, it's going to be one more time. So if you have the pressure on you, if you're the 49ers, you got to win this thing out if you want the top seed.
You do. And now you've got the Rams at the back end who are playing a lot better in Week 18. And the Niners obviously have had their number and can get a big win against them when they've needed to, except for that NFC Championship game, unfortunately. Going back a couple of years there. But the Rams are going to be playing for something.
The ball, Jaquaski.
In all likelihood, I know. It really was. In all likelihood, the Rams are going to be playing maybe for the 7 seed or something like that. They're now very much in that mix. But no, it's the Ravens game, and then it's the other 3 as far as those go for the Niners. But you're right, having to manage. The defense did look a little more vulnerable today. I mean, off the top with them throwing to DK, they were able to break off some runs. It looked a little bit more like the 49er defense from the middle of the season during the 3-game losing streak, I think, than it had at any point during now this 5-game winning streak.
And it felt to me like they weren't bringing as much pressure early in the game. A couple of those passes to DK, and you and I made note of it, I think, on the second or third drive for Seattle, where Drew Lock rolls out left at one point, gets no pressure from the left side, sort of broke. I think he got like a 2-yard gain on it before he was shoved out of bounds, and Bosa was out on the first 2 snaps of that drive. And so I was thinking, I don't know what's going on, or what, there was a different scheme, whatever it was. They were only bringing 4. They started pressuring it, looked like a lot more in the second half, and they couldn't defend it. It didn't look like the O-line was prepared for the type of pressure they saw in the second half, and evidenced by some of the turnovers and the mistakes that were made out of the backfield. I'm just thinking that at this point this year, with where we're seeing Armstead out and different guys have to slot in here for depth at the D-line, this feels like 2019 like you're talking about, or 2021 like you're talking about. I did not foresee this type of depth at this point in the season based on what we saw in the preseason for this team.
No, and I mean, Givens was really good. How about Kinlaw?
How about Cleve Furl's been great?
Yeah, Cleve Furl's been good. I mean, Kinlaw, especially against the run on the interior.
Gregory. Yeah.
Like Randy Gregory comes off. And so they do have a lot of strength in terms of the depth in different players. But I think on the interior, Givens and Kinlaw, Dennis, I'd love to just kind of get like Givens has always played well when he's gotten opportunities, but Kinlaw, I think, has made a jump that the 49ers were hoping that he could make.
Yeah, well, he needed to. Yeah. I mean, he needed to. I mean, a lot of high expectations for him. He's come along the last couple games, or 2 or 3 games here. He gets a half a sack today. He had, a sack and a half last week. So he's coming along, and I think he's kind of learning. I mean, he's starting to learn how to play. I mean, he's had a lot of injuries with his knee, but he's really come on here, and he's getting that interior pressure that they're kind of hoping. He's playing a lot lower now. His pad level's a lot lower. He's able to disengage, but he's still got that strong bull rush. He's got to work a second move off that bull rush to get that disengagement from these. But he's coming along. He's coming along really well, and he's played really well.
And I think with all the so much depth and so much high-end talent among the regular guys, when they've got Armstead out there, when they've got Hargrave out there, when they can go with Chase Young and Nick Bosa, it allows the depth to those guys don't like. Now there isn't as much pressure on Kinlaw. There isn't as much pressure on Cleve Farrell. There isn't as much pressure on Randy Gregory to come in, and they can make impact plays without the expectation being that they have to be making big-time plays. And I think that's really what's helped in this winning streak, everything kind of fall into line, and they're getting more pressure, and guys are getting home when they have opportunities.
Well, I mean, if you think about it, Kinlaw was under a great deal of pressure. Furl, when he came in with the Raiders, under a great deal of pressure. And where they are now is come in, play your ass off for X amount of plays. You're going to be out of there. So just go. You
make 2 big plays a game or one, and it might be the key to winning a game versus losing it.
We don't need you to
streamline it a little bit.
Yeah.
Right.
But I mean, we don't need you to be that guy, because that's what Bosa's going to be, and that's what Hargrave's going to be. There's guys who play in and play out are going to be that way. So come in and just contribute on a line. And that's been, I mean, let's go back to 19 when they went to the Super Bowl. That's what they did. And that's what the teams that you did, man. Yeah. You guys had that deep thing where it was like, come in, go balls out, come out. You just got such depth, and that just has got to be for an offense. Because remember the offensive linemen, which I think you call them dumb offensive linemen, but those offensive linemen,
close.
They're in the whole time. It's like, damn, there's a fresh crew coming in.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, in the fourth quarter when you have those fresh legs come in, I mean, offensive linemen, they're running. They play as a unit. They don't come off the football field long as the offense is on the field. So, defense, if you can have two tiers of defensive linemen to come in and play at a very high level, which the 49ers have now, you wear them down. And the fourth quarter is when you see Randy Gregory run on the outside and get that sack. I mean, that's just the fourth quarter offensive lineman. That tackle is tired of kick stepping out. He gets a little bit lazy. You take advantage of it.
John Dickinson joins us here from Levi Stadium. Niners win 28-16 over the Seattle Seahawks. John, before we let you go, what does this stat mean to you? Today, Brock Purdy, a career-high 10.5 air yards per pass attempt. Fantastic. One of the knocks that people keep trying to pin on him is, well, it's a lot of yards after catch. No, not today, man.
Good luck with that. I mean, not today. I mean, he threw a couple of
beautiful passes,
beautiful deep balls, and I mean, it continues to make the off schedule plays where he's escaping. I think there are a couple maybe that Kyle Shanahan's thinking, hey, in another situation, don't roll right, throw back left. But the deep ball looks good, and his deep ball numbers are as good or better than anybody's in the NFL this season. So when you say can't throw the deep ball, it's just misinformed or not watching or looking for something else. I mean, he continues to check every box. And the thing that I keep coming back to is when he's out there and the 49ers have all the weapons, when they have Debo, when they have McCaffrey, when they have Kittle, when they have Aiyuk, the offense has been, for the most part, unstoppable for a 60-minute football game. They always come through at some point, typically on the first drive, and then, maybe there's an adjustment. But, I mean, you look at these it's just explosive after explosive these last 2 weeks against Philadelphia and Seattle, top-end team. I know Seattle's not maybe in a playoff spot now, but that was a playoff team a year ago, a team that had been playing pretty well up until these last few weeks. So I just think you look at when Purdy's had those guys and Trent Williams, the sky's been the limit for this offense.
Feels like you can fend it off for a while, but eventually that dam's going to break. And you just, even if you're weathering the storm for a little bit, eventually at some point there's just too much to keep up with, to your point, over the course of a 60-minute football game. John Dickinson, the voice you hear. Thanks for coming by, man. Appreciate having you.
You got it.
Great to do it every
Great
week.
to be here. It's awesome to have JD, and if you're not listening after Warriors games too, JD is doing the Warriors OT, and it's awesome.
Dubs OT, yeah.
So make sure that Dubs OT, and make sure that you tune in, because it's great stuff, and nobody knows the Dubs better than JD.
Nobody does. Job, and then us three are all going to be down in Arizona next week, I believe, for Niners and the Cardinals. We'll see you down there, JD.
Looking forward to it. Thanks for having me.
Great stuff. Adam Copeland, Dennis Brown, John Lund, Niners 28-16 over the Seattle Seahawks. We'll be back with your call of the game, your play of the game, and then we're getting out of here, throwing you to the Cowboys and the Eagles. And by the way, the Eagles look like they're just breaking an explosive play here themselves. It's 10-0 in favor of the Dallas Cowboys. I think that was a fake punt, was it? Because it was 4th and 2 there. Eagles run a fake punt and pick up a
and they don't have an illegal
gain.
block on it.
And, oh, man. Shut up, Mr. Wisnowski. All right, when we come off with
Punter can run.
Punter can move.
That would have been a 30-yard explosive run play that got erased.
It didn't look very smooth.
Dennis, are punters athletes?
Well,
we'll talk about it next. Only here on the Sports Leader.
49ers to improve to 10-3, 28-16 over the Seattle Seahawks. That is a season sweep over the Seahawks. Brock Purdy over 368 yards passing and 12 explosive plays for the 49ers. It is time for your drive of the game, brought to us by our good friends at Modesto Toyota. It's worth the drive for selections and savings. Visit them today at modestotoyota.com. Oh, now we're using it for this one as well. Of course, Kevin and the whole crew, they are awesome. Make sure you check them out at modestotoyota.com. Toyotathon is going on right now. Some of your best deals are going on right now. Of course, I've got many Modesto Toyotas. My latest is a beautiful RAV4. It's nice. My son just drove his home from Arizona State. It is the place. Check them out at modestotoyota.com. One of many to choose from. How about George Kittle from 44 yards?
Play action to him. Purdy going to throw it on the sideline. Kittle's got it. The flag is down. 10-5. Touchdown! San Francisco.
There you go. George Kittle, one of 12 explosive plays for the 49ers. A 72-yarder from CMC. The 54 from Debo that goes on and on. 45 from Aiyuk. 44, that one from Kittle. It goes on and on till the break of dawn. 12 explosive plays for 407 yards. 49ers win at 28-16. We'll continue, and then we'll get you to Eagles and Cowboys from Dallas. 10-3 in the second quarter. The Cowboys lead the Eagles. Getting you ready for more postgame, only here on the Sports Leader.
Blitz from Bobby Wagner. They pick it up. Deep shot. Brock Purdy's going downfield for Debo. Touchdown! San Francisco!
Debo Samuel on a burner post, and Brock Purdy just does a great job.
There it was, Debo Samuel on a burner post. We'll make that our call of the game. Whether your project is big or small, always call 811 before you dig. Adam Copeland, Super Bowl champion Dennis Brown, John Lund with you here as the Niners have beaten the Eagles 28-16. I don't want to waste any more of your time here. We are already into the second quarter of the Dallas Cowboys and the Philadelphia Eagles, and we are going to send you out live to Dallas, where we are going to take you the rest of the way here on KNBR 104.5 and 680. Cowboys up 10-3 here with just over 10 minutes to play in the first half. If the Cowboys hold on and win this game, the 49ers will enter Week 15 as the number 1 seed in the NFC playoff picture. Boys, that's going to do it for us. We'll be back with you next week. Myself and John will be live from Arizona for the Niners and the Cardinals. Dennis holding it down at the studios in downtown San Francisco with KNBR. Our guy John Dickinson will be there as well. Thanks to Tim. Thanks to Danny back in the studios. We send you live now to second quarter action. The Philadelphia Eagles and the Dallas Cowboys. Niner fans rooting for the Cowboys here, hoping they can take down the number 1 seed only here on the Sports Leader.